Looking at Karen Rawson's garden, it's hard to believe that she once felt like she didn't have a green thumb. 3 years ago, this native plant oasis for insects didn't exist. But after the 2020 derecho took down trees that kept her shade loving hostas cool 95% of the day, she reevaluated her front lawn.
It was, well, so do we just plant grass or what are we going to do?
But Rawson had a better idea after reading Bringing Nature Home by Douglas Tallamy.
This idea of bringing native plants into urban environments, into yards, and instead of just, having them out in habitats like nature centers and that kind of thing. In fact, before the derecho, I would see a monarch butterfly go through our yard maybe once or twice a season, and that was it, like one lone monarch. I read the book and thought, yeah, that makes sense. Maybe I can do this. I didn't think I was going to turn most of my front yard into a garden, but I did, and I love it.
Rawson's yard stands out in her neighborhood, and it has throughout the 3 years of constructing her native plant garden. So, what have the neighbors thought?
So I live in a neighborhood that a lot of the people will hire lawn services, and they have companies come out and maybe treat their lawns and take a lot of pride in having, this kind of suburban picture of what the perfect lawn was, or perfect lawn was in 1950. So I was a little worried that I was putting in a garden in my front yard and how people would react. But largely everybody's been super supportive and at least tolerant and understanding.
The garden has been an icebreaker and connection point for Rawson and her neighbors.
I'll never forget one time I was out there talking to my neighbor, and there were monarchs flying everywhere. It was in September, and she was just stunned, and she said, "I have never seen this many monarchs in my life." And I said, "It's the blazing star," and offered her some. And so she planted them on her property and has gone on to source a bunch more native plants at the Monarch Fest out at the Nature Center, and has started her own native garden.
Today, Rawson's yard is a hot spot of activity with visits from monarch butterflies, hummingbirds, cardinals, and a variety of wildlife.
I have changed the monarch migration path. I see endangered bees. It's beyond rewarding that doing something so simple can have such an impact. Before the derecho, I maybe put out bird feeders, I get the sparrows, and I see a hummingbird every now and then flip through, and maybe a monarch once a season. And now on September days, I will get hundreds of monarchs coming through my yard. I see hummingbirds every day all over my garden. It's like you need air traffic control sometimes. Like I said, I took down my feeders because now I will have goldfinches that pluck the seeds off of the cone flowers. And I'll have cardinals eating the seeds off the jump seed. Like these plants support these native birds that we've got. We don't need to have the bird feeders up. That's what our environment was for.
Rawson has also added blogger to her resume.
When I realized, oh my gosh, I'm gardening, I thought, this is something that I feel like I should share with others, because I think that a lot of people can make a difference by, doing this sort of thing in their yards, but they think, oh, well, I'm not a gardener. So I started a blog so I could kind of share my journey and, maybe inspire others who realize, oh, wow, you don't have to be a master gardener to do something like this. You don't need to be an expert.
You can find Rawson's blog at iowanativegardener.blog.